Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Berea City Council meeting, Tuesday, February 6, 2024. I'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please let the record reflect that a quorum is present. This time I would call on Council Member Teresa Centers to lead us in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Teresa.
If you'll bow with me. Father God, we thank you for your grace and for your mercy, and we ask that you'll grant us wisdom as we do the city's business this evening. And Lord, we pray that you will be with our colleague David and restore him to health. We thank you for all your blessings. It's in Jesus' name that we ask. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Teresa. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion on the agenda?
So moved.
Mr. Cottle, is there a second by Katie Startzman? Any changes or discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries and the agenda is approved. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our January 16, 2024 meeting. Is there a motion to approve? By Teresa Centers. Is there a second by Jerry Little? Is there any discussion or need for correction on the minutes from January 16? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes from January 16, 2024, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is St. Joseph Berea Hospital update. And before I call Rhonda up, I want to give you a little bit of a background on how we got here and why I invited Rhonda to come. A few months back, there was a press conference at the hospital at CHI St. Joseph Berea, where a very exciting and new technology there was an earmark from Congressman Barr secured funding, and the city of Berea had to be the fiscal agent for that, which we were happy to do. At that time, I mentioned that one of the jobs of government is to provide for the health and welfare of our citizens, and what a better way to provide for the health and welfare than our hospital. So seeing this technology, I wanted her to come and brief you a little bit on the technology that they have and what that announcement was all about, and some of the ways that CHI St. Joseph Berea are involved in our community and valuable resource to our community. So that's a little bit of the background. Rhonda, if you would like to come up, this is Rhonda Anglin McMaster. She's the Cardiovascular Services and Nuclear Medicine Manager at CHI St. Joseph. Did I get that right?
You got it right.
All right, the floor is yours, Rhonda. Welcome, and thank you for coming.
I would like to thank everybody, and certainly the council and community members. As he said, I'm the Cardiovascular Services and Nuclear Medicine Manager at St. Joseph Berea. I've been with the hospital for 25 years. So I've seen a lot of technology come, a lot of technology go, and I am more than excited to see a new technology come for this camera. As he alluded, St. Joseph Berea Foundation, and several of you I recall have been foundation board members as well and served with us, and we thank you for that. The city of Berea has worked collaboratively with the hospital for years, and on this project in specific, St. Joseph Berea has worked with the city of Berea and the Congressman Barr's office for obtaining congressional funding for an HRSA. It's a Health Resources and Services Association funding of $350,000 for new technology to purchase a nuclear medicine camera. Ours is end of life, and it serves for cardiac and routine nuclear medicine studies at the hospital. We actually have two cameras end of life, and this one's kind of going to kill two birds with one stone, so to speak. We want this camera to be able to take care of our community members. It is our job at St. Joseph Berea to take care of your parents, your grandparents, yourselves, your sons, your daughters, your family members, your colleagues, your friends, and the city of Berea. I would like to extend a thank you to Mayor Fraley and for Susan Meeks and, I want to get this correct, Rose Beverly instead of saying it opposite, for working on, I'm sure that's not the first time that's taken place, for working on the grant documentation, because if anybody's worked on grant documentation, it's not short, it's long, and it's a tedious process. And to work on it from the city level, taking it through the foundation level, and extending it on to the congressional state levels, it gets tedious, but everybody has worked together. It takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a whole community and a whole state to help put health as a priority for the state of Kentucky. And I would like to share a few statistics with you. On the national studies over the years, Kentucky's ranked in the bottom for health related conditions. And the leading cause of death in the United States is heart disease. It's the leading cause of death amongst men and women. We recognize it as February this month as National Go Red Month because it is still the leading cause of death and lead of cancer. And while we service both those patient populations, we want to be able to provide the latest and highest quality diagnostic imaging so that we can provide the radiologist and the cardiologist to make the best diagnoses available to take forward to help patients in their treatment. Kentucky also serves and is listed as one of the highest in some of the poverty breaks. So when you look at the counties that we serve, not just Madison County, but we also serve at St. Joseph Berea, our adjacent surrounding counties of Jackson County, Garrett County, Estill County, and Rockcastle County. These areas have some poverty-stricken areas that leads the citizens in these areas to make life choices that aren't as health conscious as they could be. There's less money flowing into some of these areas. And unfortunately, DoorDash and eating fast food has become cheaper in this country than it is to go out to support your local farmer's market and, have healthy foods, your vegetables and fruits that we would grow without pesticides. Our grandparents were healthier. They worked the fields and they farmed their lands. We're seeing a different generation, and this food process taking place over our country is actually leading to cardiovascular disease. The highest risk factors for cardiovascular disease are hypertension, obesity, physical inactivity, diabetes, tobacco use. All of these are surrounding our lifestyles and our lifestyle changes we can or cannot change. But Kentucky is in the top of those rankings, and we want to change that. We're here at St. Joseph Berea working with the city of Berea and with the state of Kentucky collaboratively to try to bring you all the best quality diagnostic imaging that we can provide for our patients, because we want to make Kentucky and certainly the city of Berea a healthier city for everybody. These are our family members. We pride ourselves at St. Joseph Berea as providing compassionate care to our patients, but in order to provide the best of care, we also need to produce excellence and integrity by providing technology that allows us to diagnose patients and treat them. And in order to provide those image qualities to the radiologist and cardiologist for patients that need intervention or medication management or having a heart catheterization, open heart surgeries, we need to provide the best diagnostic quality imaging. This camera that we're working with is the latest in, I'll try to not go too deep into the physics of it because I'm a physicist by trade too. It has 59 photomultiplier tubes in each of the detector heads. There are 2 detector heads on this nuclear camera, and when we inject our patients in nuclear medicine, if you've heard somebody has had a stress test, or maybe some of you all have had a stress test, we're injecting a radioactive isotope into a patient, and that patient is then emitting gamma rays. They're emitting energy into our cameras, so the detectors are merely detecting the energy, the photons of energy coming from the patient. So we're checking to see how well is the blood flow to the heart muscle at rest. Then we give another injection during stress, whether the patient's on a treadmill or we do a pharmacologic stress with a medication that dilates those blood vessels. So we are providing images to the cardiologist to read to see how well is that patient receiving blood flow to their heart muscle, and that directly correlates to your coronary arteries. So it's an important factor to have new technology. Technology changes over time, and technology, as we all see every day when we turn on our computers, it can be your best friend or your worst enemy on any given day. But in healthcare, we need it to be our best friend every day because we are in the business of saving lives. As technology is outdating, as our cameras are, this new form of technology is going to allow us to do half-time imaging studies. It will also allow us to do half-time dosing. So if we do part dosing or half dosing for our patients, that reduces the radiation exposure to our patients. And in essence, it also reduces the radiation exposure to myself and my nuclear medicine technology staff members, because as I said, as we inject those patients to do studies in nuclear medicine, the patient is the source of energy. So we're exposed to it all day long. And even though it's a low amount that we inject in those patients, we're exposed to it all day. But if we can reduce that in half to the patients and to ourselves, then we're reducing the overall radiation burden to everybody. And that's a good win any day of the week. But more importantly, we want to be able to provide the highest quality diagnostic imaging for these patients, because we're deciding whether or not this patient goes on for intervention. We're the ones presenting the image quality on whether or not these doctors send these patients on for a pacemaker defibrillator. And with this new technology, 59 photomultiplier tubes, and I know you're all like, oh, what is that? But at least with 2 detectors on this camera, 2 detector heads, thin detectors, allows those photomultiplier tubes to go all the way to the end. If I'm pointing to the end of this stand here, the tubes go all the way to the end. There's no dead space. That means we're not missing something when we're imaging your family members, yourself, or somebody. That little bit of dead space, even if it's an inch, could miss a diagnosis, and we don't want to do that. We want to provide the best diagnostic imaging we can to all of our community members, to anybody that we serve. And we are servers. That's our calling in healthcare, is to serve our community and our patients. Not only will we be utilizing this camera to do cardiovascular imaging, but we're also going to be utilizing it to do our routine nuclear medicine studies. So we do thyroid scans, gastric emptying studies, gallbladder studies, and bone scans. And St. Joseph Berea Hospital is also partnered with Cleveland Clinic over the last few years. It's our CHI, our Catholic Health Initiatives Association, with Cleveland Clinic. So our patients who have cancer are also being followed by Cleveland Clinic, so some of the nation's best. And as we're able to stage those patients by doing bone scans, we're offering the highest quality diagnostic imaging to those patients too with this new equipment, so that we can help stage and aid in the treatment and the diagnosis of these patients with some of the best professionals in the industry. Because again, our goal is to save lives. We want to keep our community healthy. We want to keep your family members healthy. And with new technology, offering the latest in diagnostic imaging, we're able to do that. And to share a few little extra statistics, we did screenings at the Spoon Bread Festival in the fall. Out of like 119 people that agreed to allow us to take their blood pressure, a lot of people are out at a festival, they don't want to stop. They're like, I don't want to know. I'm sitting there eating popcorn and a fried Twinkie. They may not want their blood pressure taken. But of those that did allow us to screen, 67% of those are hypertensive. And that's the leading risk factor of heart disease. It's the silent killer. We did another health fair in Jackson County in October. 76% of those adults screened were hypertensive. We just had our National Go Red Friday event at the hospital, and 81%. And unfortunately, those statistics are rising. And I just read an article today by the American Heart Association. In the year of 2023, they saw a 146% increase in the number of cardiovascular deaths in the United States in the last year. That's not a statistic we want to hear. So cardiovascular disease imaging and treatment of care is going to be at the forefront of all platforms of hospitals across the United States. We have to make changes, and in my philosophy, and many people would share this, prevention is the best medicine. So the more we can educate is the most that we can do. However, some people that already have disease processes taking place, we need to be able to assist the physicians so that they can make the best decisions to treat people. So with this technology, I want to thank the city of Berea. Thank you so much for collaborating with the hospital. And thank you to the members that have worked on the grant documentation processes, because we are all in the process of saving lives, but each person is putting forth their best efforts to help in this process. And we appreciate you, and we appreciate our community and their support. I do want to list a few of the accolades outside of the nuclear medicine camera that we're getting. The foundation is providing $39,000, while the foundation grant that's funded through the city of Berea and the Congressman Barr's office is $350,000. Hopefully we'll get to do a ribbon cutting ceremony soon. I'm waiting for the purchase order to come through so GE can build the camera. It's a process, and I think the people on the end of that process, we've got all the signatures. They're waiting to cut the PO to let me know hopefully this week. I was hoping it was going to take place today so I could announce that this evening, but I honestly think whoever's on the back side of the paperwork's thinking if we wait one more day, that girl's going to flip a gasket or a wire or something, because I'm every day messaging them saying, is the PO ready? So we hope to have a ribbon cutting ceremony soon, and everybody would be invited. But I would like to share with you just a few of the ratings that our hospital has received this year, because it just shows that we are putting our best efforts towards providing the best for our patients, because compassionate care comes first, but we have to have excellence and we have to do the right thing for everybody. And I want to do my readers for this. Okay, so St. Joseph Berea was rated the CMS 5-star overall rating for 2021 and 2023. The Outstanding Patient Experience Award, top in the nation. And that's a lot. This is little St. Joseph Berea and our little community of Berea. Hospitals are rated based on different things they do, and the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services ranks every hospital in certain capacities. So Outstanding Patient Experience Award, top in the nation for overall patient experience based on 9 measures related to doctor and nurse communication, hospital cleanliness and noise levels, and medication and post-discharge care instructions. 2023. We're the only hospital in Kentucky to receive that award and the top in the nation. So I think that's a kudos for Berea. We were voted the best places to work in 2023. We were U.S. News and World Report High Performing Hospital for Pneumonia. Voted top 20 most socially responsible hospitals by the Lown Institute in 2023. The Accreditation Commission for Healthcare Sleep Center Accreditation. 2023 Performance Leadership Award for Excellence in Outcomes and Patient Perspective, and that was compiled by the Charles Center for Rural Health. And we're up for Best Places to Work business this year again, and we received that last year. So those are just a few things, but I do want you to know that our hospital, we're in the business of taking care of you and your family members, and I appreciate the collaboration between the City of Berea, Congressman Barr's office, and the foundation. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Rhonda. And I do want to open it up in case anybody has questions for you or comments.
Yep.
So would any of the council members like to ask Rhonda a question or comment while we have her at the podium? And I will just close by saying that it's obvious that you share our passion for improving the quality of life and working together with the council and the city and the hospital, one of our largest employers and also a quality service provider. We appreciate everything you do, but also all of your colleagues at the hospital. So if you would pass along our thanks, and thank you for coming to inform us of the good things that are going on right here in Berea.
I will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you for your time.
All right, the next item on the agenda is resolution number 01-2024, Multi-County Industrial Development Authority. And I will read that resolution. Resolution of the City Council of the City of Berea regarding economic development partnership pursuant to KRS 154.050 with the Fiscal Court of Madison County, Kentucky, the Fiscal Court of Scott County, Kentucky, the Lexington Fayette Urban County Government, the City of Georgetown, Kentucky, and the City of Richmond, Kentucky, and authorizing the mayor to represent the city of Berea in all matters relating to the development of a joint industrial development park in conjunction with its partners referenced herein. Whereas the city of Berea is responsible for the welfare of the people of the city of Berea, Kentucky, and whereas providing economic opportunity and growth is necessary for the welfare of the people of Berea, Kentucky, and whereas the City Council of the City of Berea, Kentucky recognizes that in the current economic development environment, opportunities for growth may be better realized by partnering with other local governments, and whereas the governing bodies of Scott County, Kentucky, Madison County, Kentucky, the Lexington Fayette Urban County Government, the City of Georgetown, Kentucky, and the City of Richmond, Kentucky are expected to join with the City of Berea in purchasing and developing real estate for an industrial park and establishing a multi-county nonprofit industrial development authority pursuant to the Local Industrial Development Authority Act, KRS 154.50, 301 through 340, and whereas it is necessary for the City of Berea to designate an authorized representative and signatory for all matters related to the purchase and development of the property and to establish the development authority referenced herein pursuant to Interlocal Cooperation Act, KRS 65.210 through 300, and whereas KRS 154.50 through 340 authorizes the City of Berea to provide funds to the multi-county nonprofit Industrial Development Authority for industrial development. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Berea, Kentucky as follows. Section 1, that the City Council of the City of Berea does hereby approve the entry of the City of Berea into an economic development partnership pursuant to KRS 154.050 through 301 through 340 with the Fiscal Court of Madison County, Kentucky, the Fiscal Court of Scott County, Kentucky, the Lexington Fayette Urban County Government, the City of Georgetown, Kentucky, and the City of Richmond, Kentucky. Section 2, that the mayor of the City of Berea is hereby authorized, directed, and empowered to execute such agreements and documents as may be necessary for the creation of such economic development partnership pursuant to Kentucky law, and further to represent the City of Berea for all matters relating to the development of a joint industrial park and multi-county industrial development authority with the Fiscal Court of Madison County, Kentucky, the Fiscal Court of Scott County, Kentucky, the Lexington Fayette Urban County Government, the City of Georgetown, and the City of Richmond, Kentucky. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect immediately on passage. I will note that we had a work session on resolution number 01-2024 yesterday on Monday the 5th. Is there a motion to approve and adopt resolution number 01-2024 by Jim Davis? Is there a second by Steve Cottle? Is there any discussion on the motion to approve and adopt resolution number 01-2024?
I've got something.
Jerry, go right ahead, sir.
The only thing I want to ask you to do is just briefly, because I've had this question asked, briefly explain to the public how that Berea will get any revenue out of this. Just briefly explain it, because it's some people's asking.
Yes, that's a good question. The simplest way to look at this is like a real estate partnership where you invest with partners in a parcel of real estate. Revenue would be derived from the real estate partnership by sale of real estate within that partnership, after development, of course. Also, the occupational license fees, insurance premium taxes, property taxes, any revenues that would go into that particular park would be divided by the partners based on their initial investment or their investment into the Industrial Development Corporation.
All right, that's fine. That's what I want the public to know that.
Sure, no problem. Other discussion on the motion? Other discussion on the motion? At this point, I'll call for a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve and adopt resolution number 01-2024, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The motion carries and resolution number 01-2024 is approved and adopted. The next item on the agenda is resolution number 02-2024, purchase power agreement, and I'll recognize Corporate Counsel J.T. Gilbert. J.T.?
This is Resolution 02-2024 by title, and a resolution of the City Council of the City of Berea, Kentucky, approving an all requirements contract with the Kentucky Municipal Energy Agency for the purchase of electric power and energy for the city's electric system.
Summary. We good with summary?
That's the summary.
Okay. And again, this was subject to a work session last night. Is there a motion to approve and adopt resolution number 02-2024? Motion by Mr. Little, and second by Mr. Terrell. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve and adopt resolution number 02-2024? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve and adopt resolution number 02-2024, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The motion carries and resolution number 02-2024 is approved and adopted. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 01-2024, 334, Rash Road Zone Change Classification. Mr. Gilbert, this is a second reading.
Ordinance number 101-2024 is an ordinance of the City of Berea, Kentucky, changing the zoning classification of the property described herein and referred to as 334 Rash Road and owned by Roy Todd Builder LLC from R1 Single Family Residential to B2 Major Business District based on the recommendation of the Planning Commission and specific findings of fact that they made on a hearing held 12 December 2023. Second reading.
This is the second reading. Is there a motion to approve and adopt ordinance number 01-2024? Motion by Jerry Little. Is there a second by Jim Davis? Is there discussion on the motion to approve and adopt ordinance number 01-2024? And just for clarification, Mr. Gilbert, the motion would be accepting the Planning Commission recommendation.
Well, it accepts the report of the Planning Commission and reclassifies the property.
Okay, just for clarity. Any further discussion on the motion to approve and adopt ordinance number 01-2024? Seeing none, I'll request a roll call vote, and I'll begin with Jim Davis,
Aye.
Teresa Centers,
Yes.
Katie Startzman,
Aye.
Jerry Little, Steve Cottle,
Aye.
and Ron Terrell. Motion carries, and ordinance number 01-2024 is approved and adopted. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 02-2024, 2024 Stormwater Design Manual, and this is a second reading. Mr. Gilbert.
Ordinance 02-2024 by summary title is an ordinance of the City of Berea, Kentucky, adopting the 2024 Stormwater Design Manual as a reference standard from Code of Ordinances, Chapter 34, Stormwater Control, specifically referenced in sections 34005, 205C, 206E, and 301E. Second reading.
This is a second reading, and I'll note that this was subject to a work session at our previous council meeting 2 weeks ago. Is there a motion to approve and adopt ordinance number 02-2024? By Katie Startzman, is there a second?
Second.
By Steve Cottle. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve and adopt ordinance number 02-2024? Seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. This time I'll begin with Ron Terrell. Steve Cottle,
Aye.
Jerry Little,
Aye.
Katie Startzman,
Aye.
Teresa Centers,
Aye.
and Jim Davis.
Aye.
Motion carries, and ordinance number 02-2024 is approved and adopted. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 03-2024, pay scale revision, and this is a second reading. Mr. Gilbert.
Ordinance number 03-2024 is an ordinance revising the authorized positions, assigned pay grade and pay scale by adding the position of metering coordinator, adding the position of small engine repair technician, and deleting the positions of electric meter technician and water meter technician. Second reading.
And I'll note-
Oh, by the way, it's effective 1 March.
Effective 1st of March. And this was subject to a work session before our council meeting 2 weeks ago. Is there a motion to approve and adopt ordinance number 03-2024 by Mr. Cottle? Is there a second by Teresa Centers? Is there any discussion on the motion to approve and adopt ordinance number 03-2024? Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll request a roll call vote, and we'll begin with Jim Davis,
Aye.
Teresa Centers,
Aye.
Katie Startzman,
Aye.
Jerry Little,
Aye.
Steve Cottle,
Aye.
Ron Terrell. Motion carries and ordinance number 03-2024 is approved and adopted. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 04-2024, increase in compensation for mayor and city council members. This is a second reading. Mr. Gilbert.
Ordinance number 04-2024 is an ordinance of the City of Berea, Kentucky, amending the Code of Ordinances by revising Section 20.100 and Section 20.201, providing for an increase in the compensation of the positions of mayor and council member. In summary, it increases the salary of the mayor from $12,000 to $25,000 annually, and council members from $400 to $600 per month, paid monthly. Second reading.
Is there a motion on ordinance number 04-2024? Jerry Little makes a motion. Is there a second? By Ron Terrell. Is there discussion on the motion to approve and adopt ordinance number 04-2024?
I want to clarify
Jerry?
one thing.
Go right ahead.
This raise, if it's approved here tonight, don't go in effect of anybody sitting here on this council. It goes in effect to the new council members, be the first of 25, and then the mayor would be what, 27, Bruce?
27.
So I just want people to know that it's not for any of us, it's for the new members that's coming on.
Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion on the motion? All right, at this point, I will request a voice vote. We'll start with Mr. Terrell this time. Ronnie's an aye. Steve Cottle.
Aye.
Jerry Little.
Aye.
Katie Startzman.
Aye.
Teresa Centers.
Aye.
And Jim Davis.
Aye.
Motion carries and ordinance number 04-2024 is approved and adopted. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 05-2024, 688 Scaffold Cane Road, zone change classification. First reading, Mr. Gilbert.
Ordinance number 05-2024 is an ordinance of the City of Berea changing the zoning classification of property described herein and referred to as 688 Scaffold Cane Road and owned by Michael W. King from B1 minor business to B2 major business based on a hearing held 23 January of this year by the Planning Commission. Recommendations, report, findings of fact and recommendations, the Planning Commission. This is a first reading, and just to remind you, on zone changes, you have three options to enact it based on the recommendation of the Planning Commission, to review the record of the Planning Commission and have make your own findings of fact and recommendation, or third, to have your own hearing and make your own findings of fact and recommendation. This is a first reading.
It is a first reading, and per past practice, I'll open the floor up for any discussion on this ordinance first reading. Any discussion? Seeing none, I will acknowledge counsel for the property owner, Corey Isaacs, is present. So thank you for being here, Mr. Isaacs. And we will move forward to ordinance number 06-2024, release of Oak Street Alley. This is the first reading. Mr. Gilbert.
Ordinance number 06-2024 is an ordinance of the City of Berea, Kentucky vacating and closing a certain platted right-of-way within the City of Berea, Kentucky known as Oak Street Alley. It's based on the all property owners requesting the closure and agreement of the property owners as to the disposition of the property once it's been closed. First reading.
And there was a work session on this prior to this meeting. And per past practice, I will open the floor for any discussion or comments on the first reading of ordinance number 06-2024. Comments or discussion? Seeing none, we'll move forward to ordinance number 07-2024, release of Neely Street right-of-way, and this is the first reading. Mr. Gilbert.
Point of personal privilege before I read this.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I've been doing this job for a long time. I think this is the most ordinances that we've ever read at a council meeting since I've been doing this. I'm not going to tell you when I started, but
I will say that it was when I was 14 years old. I do know that.
Ordinance number 07-2024 is an ordinance of the City of Berea, Kentucky vacating and closing a certain platted right-of-way within the City of Berea, Kentucky, providing access to and from Neely Street. And again, this is at the request of all of the property owners and their agreement as to disposition of the right-of-way after it's closed by the action of the council. First reading.
And this was, again, subject to a work session prior. Again, per past practice, I will open the floor for any discussion or questions related to the first reading of ordinance number 07-2024. Any discussion or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move forward. And at this point, we have department head reports, and we do have our police chief here tonight, Jason Hayes, and also Roy Curtis, the supervisor for the Public Works Department. And did you guys arm wrestle to see who goes first? Oh, you won? Okay. So Chief Hayes goes first. Roy, you're up next on deck. Chief, you have the floor. Go right ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, City Administrator, City Council. I'd like to start out tonight with an update from our ABC Administrator on where we stand currently with alcohol licenses and applications. I know you guys have been asking Rose about this, so I've got an update for you. We currently have 31 businesses in Berea with licenses to sell alcohol. Most of those are non-quota package sales. If you remember, those are ones that can sell malt beverage package. So it's going to be at your gas stations, Dollar General, that kind of thing. That's the vast majority of those licenses are those type. Of those 31 licenses, 4 are quota retail package license. That's the sale of spirits. So if you remember, those are going to be your typical, for lack of a better word, a liquor store. We have 4 of those that have been approved. I can. Look at this print. Okay. Got some pretty fine print here. So one is Bad Penny, and that is at 103 Clay Drive in Berea. The next one is Stop and Go Spirits. That's at 120 Peggy Flats Road, after at the 77. One is Great Spirits, and that's 608 Richmond Road. And the last is Berea Liquor, and that is 219 Prince Royal Drive. We also have 4 licenses in the portal for approval. And to explain that, the portal is, if you apply with the state, you kind of get in limbo until we've approved the license, and that might be some codes, things they need to fix, or fire codes, construction on the building. So we have 4, one microbrewery in the portal awaiting approval. I think he expects to be done with construction in spring. One restaurant has requested a license, an NQ2. Speedway has requested one, and then one unknown business on Paint Lake Road. If you guys remember, when we went wet, I believe there was 25 licenses available, the quota retail, and that's the ones they keep track of, that there's a limited supply of. As of this week, we believe there are still 12 quota retail package licenses available, and that's to share with the county and Berea and Richmond, still available. So that's where we're at on that. If any of you have questions after, just get with me, and I can kind of get you more detail about the businesses that have those licenses. Now I would like to give an update on some specialized training and training related to leadership that some of our guys have recently went to. We all go to 40 hours of in-service. Every officer has to, but this is going to be more specialized things and things that we do outside of that. Sergeant O'Selly is working on becoming our police chaplain for the department, and he recently attended a chaplaincy course put on by the FBI in Louisville. We just certified 2 defensive tactics instructors for the department, Cody Jones and Cody O'Selly, and they've already been training our guys in those defensive tactics. Captain Botkin is currently attending criminal justice executive development at DOCJT. He's set to graduate that course next Friday, and that's a 5-week course. Detective Varney completed the first half of a criminalistics academy. That's specialized training for investigators. He completed the first 4 weeks last year. He's set to attend the second 4 weeks this year, and that's at DOCJT as well. We also had 3 officers just attend a TAC Med course to become instructors for our other officers. That's tactical medical, and it's a course that focuses on applying life-saving techniques to officers while they're on duty if they were to get injured to help the other officers. We also recently had 4 promotions within the department since I've last presented. Cody O'Silly was promoted to sergeant. Lynn Goforth was also promoted to sergeant. Eric Davidson was promoted to lieutenant, and Matthew Kinney was also promoted to lieutenant. I'm very proud of those guys, and they're already doing a great job in their new positions. If it's all right with you guys, I'd like to go over some stats from last year. I'm going to do some comparisons between years before. So last year was a busy year for us. We had, as far as calls for service, 20,203. That compared to 2022, we had 15,843. That's an increase last year of 12 calls per day, which might not seem like much, but like if you're going to a domestic or DUI, that could be 2 or 3 hours out of your day, so it can add up. As far as crime statistics, just for comparison's sake, in 2021, we had 620 crimes reported. In 2022, we had 539 crimes reported. That's a decrease of 13%. 2023, we had 458 crimes reported. That's another decrease of 15%. And we hope to continue with that trend of decreasing in crime through proactive policing, patrolling higher crime areas, and relying on statistics to drive that where we patrol and hopefully to knock that number down even further this year. When looking at collisions last year, we had a total of collisions of 423 for 2023. Our highest location for collisions was Richmond Road with 50. Our second highest was I-75 northbound with 45. Third highest was Walnut Meadow with 41. Any guesses for our 4th highest location for collisions in Berea? No. It was Walmart parking lot. We had 40 in the Walmart parking lot. So watch when you're backing out of a spot. We're parked at the end of the lot where nobody is. We know that speed isn't always a determining factor in collisions, but we want to attempt to bring those numbers down in some of these areas by utilizing the speed signs and directed speed enforcement in those areas. Along those lines, last year we increased traffic stops by 1,000 compared to 2022, and we wrote 255 speeding citations. Just as an update on the bypass, as far as collisions go, Kentucky Ops isn't tracking that location yet because it's such a new road, but for our numbers, we believe there's been 4 out there so far. I think there's been 2 at the turnabout and maybe 2 at intersections. But if you guys have been out there, you've seen our speed signs, you've seen the officers patrolling. We've already been riding speeders out there to hopefully let everybody know the speed out there, be aware of the intersections and the turnabout. So we've been working hard out there. All of these statistics that I've shared with you guys, I have a ton more. It goes into detail about like what charges we charged, how many of those. It's pretty detailed. So if anyone wants greater detail, just get with me. I can get those stats to you. That is all of my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Chief, and appreciate the good work by you and your men. At this point, we'll open up for questions for the Chief and begin with Jerry Little. Jerry. Go ahead, Jerry.
Jason, if you don't care, expand a little bit on our tip line. You know, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think we repositioned it on the website and explained to people if they've got to see something or something. I think it's a lot easier to get to now. I think. Go ahead. Thank you.
It is, and I need to thank you for that, Jerry. I wasn't aware that it wasn't that accessible. I know, so if you call the 986-8456 number, it's one of the options. You hit, I think, 2 or something, it takes you to the drug tip line that way. Or you can call the number directly that we posted on the city's website. So you go to the city website, you hit police, it's the first thing you see. It says drug tip behind the beat.
It's completely anonymous, is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
People don't
Yes.
need afraid to call in if they see something or think there's something going on.
Right, and even if it's something that they don't know for certain is a drug transaction, call that in too, because we just want to check on that stuff just to make certain.
I really appreciate that, and thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Jerry. Other questions, Katie?
Thanks for sharing such a great report. It seems like that's such a huge jump from number of service calls from last year, 2022 to 2023. Do you see that trend continuing in the first month of January? Is that something that we should be aware of or concerned about?
I haven't
Okay.
checked January's activity to make that comparison, but I believe it is. We've still seems like we've been busy the first of the year. Some of that was a call from me, I think, last year for them to be a little more active, but some of it is also just calls for service, like people calling in. So. No, be more active in pulling people over, getting out with people,
I
business
see.
checks, and that
So
kind of
it counts part of the 20,000
Yes.
total. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Other questions or comments for the chief?
Yeah, comment.
Jim?
I, for one, am glad to see more blue lights flashing around town. We didn't see that for a long time, and I do appreciate it. I just hope they don't appear behind me sometime. But,
Let's go the speed limit, Jim, but
yeah.
thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments for the chief? As you were talking, I didn't think about this before, but I started thinking about a little timeline here. Seems like it was about a year ago that you became chief. Am I pretty close on that?
It was December of 20.
December of 22, so you've passed your 1 year, so
I am.
we're a little late, but
I made it.
you made it.
So far, so good.
You made it through your first year, and you've done an outstanding job, so thank you for a good report and for the good work you do every day.
Thank you.
Next, we'll call on Public Works Director Roy Curtis before he calls for another arm wrestling contest to get the podium. So, Roy, you have the floor, sir. Get your mic there, Roy.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. I just want to fill you in on some of the things we've done since I talked to you last. We finished our OSHA survey report. We closed that out. We got everything corrected, and then we've completed our forklift training and certification. We had got a couple of our guys certified to be trainers, so they trained everybody else in the department, and everybody got their certifications. We've cleaned and repainted or repaired all of our snow removal equipment, because you load it with salt and everything. You gotta get all that off, keep it from rusting, and protect our investment. We've cut and removed low-hanging limbs from streets and roadways all through town here lately. They're out repairing potholes and brush pickup and storm drain cleaning. We've done all that, got it completed. Currently, we're on sign repairs and maintenance, vehicle and equipment repairs. We're still working on the shooting range, and we're getting ready to go back out next week and do some more on that. Building maintenance and cleaning, Jesse and Jacob, they're taking care of that for us. Pothole and street repairs, we've got more potholes. When you plow the roads and stuff, it knocks some of the stuff out, so you've got to go back and replace it. We've been cleaning up our shop too. After we had the inspection, we saw a lot of stuff that's accumulated over the last 20 years. So we've been cleaning that out. We had a lot of old heating and air units from buildings we've tore down, and just different things. So we scrapped all of that and kind of make it pretty nice down there, get everything cleaned up. Okay, future projects. We've got curb, sidewalks repairs, the Spring Street resurfacing that's coming up. We've identified some streets and stuff, and we're figuring out what that's going to cost, and we'll go from there. Pauley Court drainage project, we're going to start that this spring, weather permitting. And my notes to the council, our employees are continuing their training. Daniel Ballard, Andy Hurt, and Adam Taylor, they completed their Roadmaster training. So they got their certification and stuff. You got a Road Scholar, and then it goes to Roadmaster. So that's a pretty big achievement. There's several classes that they have to take for that. And Eric Baker, Steve Collins, and Chris Walls, they've completed the Winter Maintenance Operation Program. It's by American Public Works Association that deals with anything to do with snow removal and all that. And let's see, in January, we had Daniel Ballard, Steve Collins, Andy Hurt, and Adam Taylor, and they completed their annual pesticide spray license. And we've got some other employees that want to get their certification. So Tyler Alcorn, Logan Dees, Brandon Gregory, and Joe Thomas, they're going to do theirs in April. Okay, we've got Daniel Ballard, Andy Hurt, Jesse Rylage, and Adam Taylor. They're taking classes at Eastern on basic core concepts and training for supervisors. And then Steve Collins and Chris Walls, they recently completed the forklift training certification. And Jesse Rylage, he's going to the safety conference in Bowling Green this year for us. So he'll probably bring back a lot of good knowledge for everybody. Daniel Ballard and Steve Collins and Andy Hurt, they're going to attend the excavator training at Boone Tavern next week. And then Steve Collins is enrolled, and I think there's a couple more that haven't enrolled yet, but they've got a basic computer skills class at EKU this spring. And let's see, Preston Chandler, he was our small engine repairman. He retired January 31st, so it was last Wednesday, and he had been with the city for 23 years of service. And, you know, he's going to be hard to replace because he did a lot of work down there. But we wish him well and hope he does the best. And that completes everything that I have, unless you have any questions.
Questions or comments for Roy? Ronnie?
Should I go through the list I'd like for you to do, or prioritize? But that's all right. But would you give the number that for potholes, if citizens see potholes, to call in and report them? Because
Okay, they can call down at the office. That's 986-8792.
okay, I mean, because we need help, and there are a bunch of them. I mean, so if you see them, call them in.
Other questions or comments for Roy? Jim?
I just want to congratulate you and your crew on the snow removal. They did an excellent job, and I'm glad you got everything all cleaned up, because I think there's more coming in the next week or so.
Yeah, they do a good job. I know that a little harder, that first one where the temperature was so low.
Yeah,
But I thought they did really well.
they did.
Questions or comments for Roy? I'll make a note on the training real quick. I appreciate your leadership and encouraging that training, and compliments for your team for stepping up and training and self-development to make themselves better public servants, which is what they are.
Yeah.
And thanks to you and your team for the good work that you do every day for the citizens. Often that's done behind the scenes that people don't see, but you guys are the behind the scenes MVP, so please thank the staff for us and tell them we appreciate the great work that they do.
Okay, and thank you for supporting us.
Thank you, Roy.
All right.
All right, next we'll move to public comment. Would any members of the public like to address the council? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna come back. Any other department heads would like to address the council? Sorry, Kevin, I got wrapped up with the arm wrestling contest between Roy and the chief. Public Works Director Kevin Howard, you have the floor.
Heard enough from you over the last couple of weeks anyway, but good evening. I had one item I wanted to bring before you. As you may be aware, we recently advertised requests for proposals for one 1500 kVA pad mount transformer. Those bids were open January 26th. We received 4 bids as follows: Cape Electric from Richmond, $56,999, 41-week lead time. Cape Electric Somerset office, $73,000, 78 to 80-week lead time. Wesco in Lexington, $98,800, $816.65 with a 52-week lead time. Stuart Irby, Electrical in Lexington, $98,816 even, 52-week lead time. We've went over the specs, made sure that everything, we've reached out to the vendor, talked about the pricing discrepancy there. We are satisfied that everything meets the specs that we're needing, and I would recommend purchasing the lowest cost alternative here with the shortest lead time as well for $56,999, Cape Electric, Richmond.
Is there a motion to approve the purchase of transformers through Cape Electric, $56,999? By Ronnie Terrell, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Teresa Centers. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve that, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries. Kevin, you're good to go. Thank you for bringing that to us. Any other department heads, before I forget, that would like to address the council? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward to public comments. Would any members of the public like to address the council? Mrs. Workman? Floor is yours. Just as you come up, Ms. Workman, we would request that public comments be limited to 3 minutes and be business related. Keep it simple.
First thing is, would someone explain to me the release of Neely Street right-of-way? Has nothing to do with coming onto the main road, does it?
No, it won't, because I know you're on Christmas Ridge, but what I can do, Mrs. Workman, if you'll get your number to me or to Amanda Haney that's back there right behind Rhonda, we'll get you a call tomorrow to explain that and go over it with you.
Well, my concern is just, is it something else coming out onto the highway?
No,
It's
ma'am.
not, so
No,
that's fine.
Okay.
Because we're gonna have, coming up with our building, a lot of problems. But I had a water leak down at the road, and the time I was notified and I got it fixed, I've ended up with the equivalent of having to pay 5 extra months utility bill. And I wondered, is there any way that can be addressed to be prevented for people in the future? I don't know. I know meters are read, every month? I have no idea.
They are, and what I would ask you to do, Kevin Howard, that's in the back with the vest, is our
Okay,
utilities general manager, and I think we have a way that we can
Well, I
perhaps
had some
credit.
adjustments, but
So-
still I ended up paying all that extra.
Well, I would recommend that you talk with Kevin
Okay.
after the meeting or exchange phone numbers with him, and he'll address that.
Well, I was glad I had home serve because I didn't have to pay for the repair. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to pay my bill. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Workman. Would any other members of the public like to address the council? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward to the city administrator's report, and I'll recognize City Administrator Rose Beverly. Rose, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. I would like to start by just letting everybody know that the Parks Department is gearing up already. You know how it is. It's short. They get a short break. So they have seasonal maintenance interviews this week, trying to get those positions filled. And speaking about just the Parks Department in general, I know there was a really good Parks meeting that happened recently, and one of the things that they talked about that I'd like to just kind of share with you guys is all the RFPs and we have that are going to be going out for work in the parks. We will be working on getting all these out by April and some of them sooner. The basketball court, the trailhead restroom, concession stand, the pool deck and plumbing, the folk center windows will all be going out soon to RFPs. So we'll be working on those and getting them out as soon as we can. Speaking about RFPs, we also had a really good Public Works meeting recently, and the Public Works Committee helped me to put together a list of streets, a finalized list, so hopefully I'll be getting that RFP out by the end of next week or so is what I'm aiming to do there. So I do not have a lot to talk about other than I do want to say that we have several programs in the next few weeks at the Parks Department. And I noticed one of those things was that you can go make Valentine's Day cards and for people that are in nursing homes in our community. And let me see, I have a note on what day that is. That's February 12th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The Parks Department has partnered with the Madison County Special Olympics, and I think that's a really neat thing. And if you go on their Facebook page, you'll see that there's that and plenty other things going on this month, so take a look at that. That's all I have, so if I would take
That was
questions.
February 12th, 6 through 8, and where
Yep.
would people go if they
The
wanted
Folk
to?
Center.
To the Folk Center.
If they want to make some cards. And it's an event that's sponsored by the Special Olympics, but anybody can come and make cards for folks in our nursing homes, so.
Thank you, Rose. Questions for the city administrator? Questions for the city administrator? All right, Rose, thank you for the good
Thank you
report. Appreciate it. We'll move forward to mayor's comments, and I do have just a few things to make you aware of. One is I try to make you aware of retirements. Another retirement that we have that's coming up is Jake Lake with our fire department. Jake's been around for a long time and was a classmate of my sister and a good man. Jake is planning to retire April 1, so when you see Jake out and about, please wish him well, as we all wish him the best moving forward. Also, I'm surprised nobody asked about the water supply. So I'll give you a little report, and I'll give Kevin credit because he put some numbers together for us. Right now, Owsley Fork is down 2.5 feet. There's a 194-day supply at the current demand. Bee Lake is down 1.5 feet, and there's an 11-day supply at current demand there. Cowbell is down 9 feet for a 14-day supply at the current demand. And all that totaled up is 219 days, and at probably our, I won't call it the scariest, but when we had the advisory, we were down to about 128, Kevin. Is that right? It was in the 120s, so our water supply has recovered. Normal is pretty close to 300, so we're not back to normal yet. We do not need to have the advisory, but we still ask citizens, and if you would ask your constituents to do voluntary conservation until we get that back up where we got a full tank, so to speak. So we're getting there, but it'll take a few more rains to get us there, and hopefully that'll happen in February. So Kevin, thanks for providing us for that update. Also, business and economic development, there is training for small businesses. It's called the Productivity Platform. These are from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. on the following dates, and they're free. I'll mention that first, that they're free. February 22nd is Understanding Hospitality with Lisa Blake. March 28th, Grant Writing for Nonprofits with James Williams. April 25th, Creating a Business Plan with Helen Buchamez. May 23rd, Construction and Business Budget with Valerie Henderson. So you can contact our Business and Tourism Development Department for more information, but that's again ways that our Business and Tourism Development staff are supporting local business in our community. So Donna, thank you for putting those on, and I'm sure Donna would be happy if any of you all want more information or if you have people that would like to participate, Donna can get you connected on that. So thank you, Donna. Another thing Donna called to my attention is the week of February 10th through February 17th is United States Department of Agriculture National Entrepreneurship Week. And we work very closely with USDA Rural Development, and they're primarily concerned with agriculture, and we recognize all entrepreneurs during that week, but especially the people in the agriculture business, such as cattle producers, people in the food industry, farmers that are in the agriculture industry, including value-added agricultural producers. So again, recognition for all them and all that they do to keep food on the table, and also for all of our entrepreneurs throughout Berea. Thank you for what you do. Please recognize them February 10th through the 17th. That concludes my comments. We'll move to council comments and begin with Ronnie Terrell. Thank you, Ron. Steve Cottle.
Quick comment about the Multi-County Industrial Development Authority, although that seems like it was 3 meetings ago, but we had conversations last night about return on investment, and it kind of got me thinking about it. And I just want to say that I appreciate the work of the mayor and the administration and the vision that really has in terms of the work we do on a weekly basis really probably will never affect many of us. And I thought about comments that my grandfather, Ronald Pennington, had made when I was younger, talking about going to Cincinnati and trying to find people who owned those lands. And JT probably knows more about that than I ever will. But the 20 years of putting the property in the current industrial park together clearly outlived and has not had a full return on investment in those people's lifetimes. And so to think about what this will have for our future as a city is very exciting, because we don't have more opportunities really to put together industrial parks within our city limits. And so kudos for the work on that. I know you've worked a long time on that, and that's been a labor of love, I'm sure, but I really think that the work and the partnership with those cities and counties specifically will pay dividends for our city for decades to come.
Thank you, Steve. Jerry Little.
No comment.
Thank you, Jerry. I want to have just a moment here that I forgot. I do want to comment on the purchase power agreement. That was a very long and difficult process, and I do want to publicly thank members of the team, and I want to start with Jerry Little, who's been an advisor to me for over 6 years, teaching me about purchase power and sharing his knowledge with me. And Jerry was involved with us throughout the entire process. Also, our utilities general manager, Kevin Howard, and electric division supervisor, Adrian. Also, Rose was involved with that group, and Rose's business acumen is second to none, and I value that as part of the group. And also our corporate counsel, who is also an advisor on things not necessarily legal, JT Gilbert. And I appreciate your advice and wise counsel along the way, and also our consultant, Allison. She did a great job as well, walking us through the RFP process and doing analysis on the proposals. I do feel like that we ended up with making a choice that passed tonight that's in the best interest of the citizens and the ratepayer of Berea, Kentucky. And for everybody that was involved in that process, thank you for your time, your effort. And I thought about how I would describe all of those people I just mentioned. They were objective, they were analytical, they were thorough, and they were professional. Thank you. Katie Startzman.
Thank you. I was just, before you made your comments, I was also reflecting on how we've had 2 work sessions back to back, Monday night and Tuesday night, and how grateful I am for the administration and department heads and folks who are bringing this diverse amounts of different topics, lots of different information, and distilling it in a really clear, helpful way that help us make informed decisions. So I'm really grateful both for the public power agreement, and then it's just so interesting how this work runs the gamut. And then today we were talking about alleyways, and so I understand that in you all as department heads and administration, those are the things that you're carrying every day in your work, and we just saw a piece of that in the last 2 meetings, so thank you. Oh, one more quick thing.
Sure, go right ahead.
When I was driving today, safely and slowly through town, I was so pleased to see some of the exterior construction work on the toll building, the door and a couple windows and like the start of an awning or something, and that already feels like it's tying those 2 spaces together so well, and I'm really excited to see that progress. It looks beautiful. Yep.
Thank you, Katie. Next, we'll move to Teresa Centers. Teresa.
Well, as Mr. Gilbert alluded to earlier, this has been a packed agenda, and I'm glad that we were able to get all that done this evening. I'm thankful for all of you all being here, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Teresa. And for the last word, Jim Davis.
Kind of echo what Teresa said, and I'm thankful for having the work sessions. The one tonight was before the council meeting, but the bigger, more involved one was last night, and it gave us some time to think about it, sleep on it, and I like having that before we have to vote on it at a council meeting. Like to echo what Steve said about the upcoming economic development parcel that we're working on. I think it's a great thing for our city, and he's probably right some of us sitting here won't see the fruit of the labor, but I think it's the right thing to do for our city. And last but not least, if y'all notice, we've had a vacant seat up here for the last couple of months. And David Rowlett's going through a difficult time, and his family's going through a difficult time. So I just ask that you remember David and his family. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. That brings us to the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn? By Teresa Centers and a second by Steve Cottle. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The meeting is adjourned.